we got our Mint Mobile hotline question of the day. If you want to leave your question and have it read on the air, you're going to go ahead and call 951-268-4259 and leave a voicemail. Today's Mint Mobile hotline caller of the day is calling about the best and worst of Phase 4.
Hey, what's up, folks on the show? This is Duke Silver calling from Pawnee, Indiana. Just got done playing a saxophone show, and I figured I'd call in and ask you guys. With Black Panther officially being the tail end of Phase 4, what do you guys think were some of the best and the weakest projects in Phase 4? It's kind of one of the more mixed bag phases that we've got in the MCU so far. Just curious to know what you guys think. Let me know. Thank you.
All right, Duke Silver apparently calling us from his private plane. Good to have you. Good to have you call in there. All right, so yes,
selling those albums.
Yeah.
It's awesome. He got off stage and he's like, I gotta call the Campea.
I get what's going on. So one of the things that we've kind of overlooked with the big hype surrounding the release of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is that even though phases are an arbitrary make-believe number that don't even really mean anything, it does mark the end of Phase 4. Phase 4 is now complete. And I think it raises a really good question. Well, now that we look back on Phase 4, what do we feel were the best things of Phase 4? What do we feel were the worst things of Phase 4? Because one of the things he said, guys, that I completely agree with is the fact that out of all the 4 phases, Phase 4 has been the most mixed bag, right? You're looking at a general consistency of excellence in Phase 1, a general consistency of excellence in Phase 2, a general consistency of excellence in Phase 3. Not so much in Phase 4, even though there have been some big shiny diamonds. So if we're going to try to call out what we think are our 2 best and 2 worst things out of Phase 4, let's take a second here and just recap what has been a part of Marvel Phase 4. Well, we of course got Black Widow, which I thought was fine. I did not love Black Widow, but it was fine. It was all right. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which I thought was magnificent. Eternals, which I like more. I don't think it's magnificent, but I think it's better than most people think it is. Spider-Man No Way Home, smashing all kinds of records. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Thor Love and Thunder, and of course, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and of course their series. For the first time ever, part of one of the Marvel phases was TV shows. And they of course had WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, What If, Hawkeye, and Moon Knight. And did we have Miss Marvel in there? No, they forgot to put Miss Marvel in there. Ms. Marvel was also one of them as well. And of course, not really a series. It was, there was Ms. Marvel and She-Hulk Attorney at Law. And of course, Werewolf by Night, as was not really a series, not really a movie, just kind of fell in there somewhere. So again, a mixed bag. It's the first time we've ever said that about one of the Marvel phases. Whereas with phases 1, 2, and 3, you'd be hard pressed to pick out the weak link, right? Like maybe in is Iron Man 2 considered Phase 1 or Phase 2? I can't remember, but whatever. Yeah, you got your Iron Man 2.
2's Phase 1.
All right, so you got your Iron Man 2, sure. You got Thor: The Dark World, sure. But other than that, you're scrounging around in the cushions of the sofa looking for the bad ones, right? In the first 3 phases. Phase 4, a little bit easier to find, and not quite as consistently. But what were the great ones? What were the not so great ones? I'll start this thing off. I think the 2 best things that have come out of Phase 4, and I don't mean to break this up into a movie one and a TV one. It just happens to be one's movie, one TV. I think Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is a top 5 MCU film. Now, I've said that for a long time. It hasn't been since the first Avengers movie that I walked out of the theater after watching it for the first time shaking. Like I walked out of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings so pumped and had so much adrenaline flowing from watching it. I was practically shaking coming out of the theater. That was such an amazing, fantastic experience. I love the way it expanded the lore of the MCU. I thought it introduced a couple of new dynamite characters into the MCU. Just loved it. So I put that right at the top along with WandaVision. Because WandaVision, we'll talk about WandaVision a little bit later as well, when we're talking about Phase 4 of the MCU and stuff like that. But WandaVision to me set the standard of what a Disney Plus series can be. I mean, they came out of the block strong with Mandalorian. But for the MCU, they came out with what I still think is their best effort so far, which is, of course, WandaVision. So Shang-Chi and WandaVision to me mark 2 of the really excellent things about Phase 4. What about the not so great things? Well, I'll start off with the Disney Plus side. She-Hulk. She-Hulk was a show that I was very excited for. And even when it started, I was like, yeah, I love what they're doing with this show. This is going to be great. I love the first episode. But as the episodes went on, you found out that it was a comedy, and you've heard me say this a million times, that just simply wasn't funny. And if you're a comedy, like if you're going to call yourself a horror movie, you can do whatever else you want in it. If you're not giving people the creeps, if you're not giving people the scares, if you're not giving people that horror, then as a horror movie, you've completely failed. You've completely failed. Same is true in a comedy. If you are trying to call yourself a comedy and you are not making funny jokes, I mean, there were a few moments, don't get me wrong. There were a few moments in the series that I laughed quite hard. One of the best things I've ever seen in the MCU is Daredevil doing the walk of shame. That is one of the greatest things ever. I'll give credit where credit is due. But it was not a funny show. And on that level, it just completely fell on its face. So I'll say that is one example of things that really did not work for me. For me, it was probably the worst. On the movie side, as much as I still walked out entertained, Thor: Love and Thunder represented a philosophical error that the MCU made. And philosophical errors are not common in the MCU with Kevin Feige. But they made a basic strategic mistake, which is to go full-blown, lean far more into the silly humor. Ragnarok had a brilliant balance of it. The heavy action, some incredibly dark stuff happens in Thor Ragnarok, and they would dash in there. Piss off, Ghost is still one of the greatest lines ever in the MCU. Or, oh my God, when he had the wooden trident and he says, what do you do with this? And then Korg, who is of course voiced by Taika Waititi, who did What We Do in the Shadows, says, kill 3 vampires. It was great. It was great, right? So they would pepper in that real Taika Waititi silliness. And it was a really great balance that made for one of the most audience-beloved MCU films. But then they made their strategic decision, their philosophical decision to lean a lot more heavy into that. And that represents one of the biggest record scratch moments. All of a sudden, everything screeched to a halt for a lot of people. Now, I still had enough laughs that I walked out having mildly enjoyed myself, but I think that really represented a big mistake, a misstep on their part. So for me, as far as the highlights of Phase 4, it's Shang-Chi and it's WandaVision. As far as the ones that represent the real big mistakes, it was the abject failure of the comedy in She-Hulk, and it was that philosophical decision to go way far into the sillier humor with Thor: Love and Thunder instead of balancing it out like they have in other things. So
guys, we want to thank a sponsor of today's video, Mint Mobile. This holiday season, the best deal in wireless can only be found at Mint Mobile. Right now, when you switch to Mint Mobile and buy any 3-month plan, you'll get another 3 months free. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order and activate from home with eSIM while saving tons on phone plans starting at just $15 a month. Guys, you know I've been using Mint Mobile long before this holiday deal, and I have to say, it is the perfect time to switch. Since I switched to Mint Mobile, I've been spending 1/3 of what I used to spend on my mobile service with the other big name company. And with this buy 3 months, get 3 months free, not only is it a great choice for you, but it makes great gifts for the people you love. Mint Mobile's best offer of the year is here. By going online only and with eSIM and eliminating the traditional costs of retail, Mint Mobile passes those significant savings on to you. All of their plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily and effortlessly with eSIM. Or if you need a new device, for a limited time, get 6 months of free service when you buy a selected device and plan. So guys, for a limited time, buy any 3-month Mint Mobile plan and get 3 more months free by going to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea.
I don't know, Chris, let's go over to you. As we look back now on Phase 4, now that Black Panther: Wakanda Forever has come out and we've ended Phase 4, What stands out to you as the strongest examples of Phase 4 and the weakest examples of Phase 4?
I mean, my list is very similar to yours. Shang-Chi, I think, is a brilliant film. I love that movie so much. It is so well done. It introduced a new character in such a great way, and someone who is not on a lot of even comic book fans' radars. It's really, really well executed, and they balance the comedy in that really, really well with the familial drama, with the action. It's all there, and it works. It's a great, like, this is the formula to use, y'all. Do it like this. WandaVision, brilliant. So good. Moon Knight was poised to be one of my favorite things. And then, we botched the ending, which was a bit of a bummer. I'm hoping since it's coming back that they can kind of fix that and make that something that could be another kind of flagship show for them. Thor Love and Thunder was a bummer for me. I remember watching it and just being like, I mean, this is fine. This is fine. And I know for a lot of people, though, that's one of their favorites. The more people I talk to who like really aren't super into comics, or if they just really like Taika Waititi's style and everything, they love that movie. They had a blast with it. So that's one, too, that I can see is very, very divisive for people. It seemed to check a lot of boxes for most movie-going audiences, though. And then, there's just been a couple things on the television front that have bummed me out, too. I really wish that I want them to do less. I really do. I feel like give me more quality, not quantity.
If I had to slip one more thing in there that I thought was a great example of excellence on the TV side, it would probably have been Ms. Marvel.
Oh, Ms. Marvel was incredible.
Which I think only comes second to WandaVision for me. I love that show. Anyway, Rob, I know a lot of projects on this list that you were crazy excited about. Some things really worked, some things didn't. What to you are the examples of things that really worked in Phase 4 and maybe the ones that really highlighted for you that didn't work?
Well, you and I kind of have the same taste. We both like Shang-Chi a lot. We all like Shang-Chi. I really like WandaVision. The other shows have kind of been, I was thinking a lot about this weekend. This guy wrote a review and sent it in to me of Empire of the Sun, Steven Spielberg's Empire of the Sun. And it was a really interesting take on that movie that I had never considered before. And it got me thinking about the MCU. And I'm reading this, I'm thinking, why is it about Phase 4 I've been unsatisfied with Phase 4? We've lost our main draws. We've lost our main characters. But the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been, it seems like every movie and TV show is kind of unto itself. It's not going anywhere. Whereas phases 1, 2, and 3 were always progressing the overall narrative. So things were, even when they were less successful, you felt like, okay, there's a narrative thrust between projects that is missing from Phase 4. And I was thinking to myself, what if that's not true? What if there is a through line?
Well, that's what Kevin Feige says. He says it's going to become apparent to us soon.
Do you remember when I said that I thought all of these movies were taking place in different realities?
Universes, yeah.
I think that's true. And I think that we are watching the variant universes, call it created by Loki, whatever. I think we're watching the reason maybe Wong is coming between different realities. We are seeing the results of the fractured multiverse. And what's going to happen is, when did this multiverse actually start fracturing? We're going to find out it fractured in Endgame. That the end of Endgame is not actually our universe. I mean, Thanos dead, whatever. We are seeing something, and I think it's going to become apparent in Quantum Mania. That's the reason the Celestials, nobody's talking about the Celestials.
But they are. Remember, they have started to be highlighted in a few places.
Only in She-Hulk, it's like a thing. But not mentioned in any of it. So
they appear in Thor: Love and Thunder.
They could, right, but they could be, because they're still in variant universes. They're all there.
Sure, but I still have to ask you again. What has been the good things of Phase 4 for you, and what have been the not so good things of Phase 4 for you?
Well, look, just to me, it's the same thing you guys already said. You know, it's Shang-Chi, WandaVision are probably my favorites. I like No Way Home. That was good. You know, but it was a gimmick. It seems to me everything in Phase 4 is gimmicky. Moon Knight was gimmicky. I wasn't seeing Thor: Love and Thunder is gimmicky. I mean, even like Wakanda Forever is grounded. That seems like totally different from everything else we've seen in Phase 4. And I have to say that I like Shang-Chi, but other than that, I'd say Eternals and Wakanda Forever are two of the movies I found the most interesting, you know? And Hawkeye was fine. Moon Knight was totally disappointing to me. I liked Falcon and Winter Soldier more than most. It's risen up higher for me because I like Sam Wilson's progress to becoming Captain America.
His story arc was the strongest thing about that show.
Good.
For sure.
So that's basically what I have to say. But I think all of it The overall problem with all of Phase 4 is it doesn't go anywhere.
That we see
Unless
yet.
it does. Yeah, and I think that that's what they're doing. And I'll tell you what's going to happen. Here's my theory, John. Tony Stark, Steve Rogers, Natasha, they're all coming back because the people that we saw die are not the prime, call it the prime universe people. They're coming back. And it's all going to make sense.
Well, I
all
mean,
a
we've
dream.
talked about this theory of yours a long time ago. I love the theory. I don't think it's what they're doing, but I love the
They're
theory.
all coming back.
Lou, let me ask you. You're looking at the projects in Phase 4. Which one stands out to you as your favorites and maybe the ones that maybe disappointed you the most?
Yeah, MCU wise, movie wise, theatrical release wise, I like all of those. Honestly, the only one I haven't seen is Eternals. Not because I think it's bad or anything like that, but it hasn't been on my radar or something that just I have to watch. But yeah, MCU wise, all great. So I'll just talk about like the series. WandaVision is the gold standard for sure. Miss Marvel, incredible. I know people were really kind of weird about starting it because they were like, oh, it's like I heard people say it's like a Disney Channel show.
Yeah.
It starts off that way. Keep watching. Miss Marvel, incredible. I wanted to love Loki so much. The first 2 episodes of Loki I thought were so incredible, but then when it got into the whole like, I kind of have a crush on my clone self, like alt universe self. It just got
Everyone would take that
I relate
opportunity.
to that.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me with a straight face. Your clone walks up to you and be like, I get it.
Yeah.
Facts. But yeah, like I wanted to love Loki so much. All the like multiverse stuff is so up my alley. But then it just got too like, maybe it was because it got too romancy for me. Like I don't really like romance stuff. So when it got into that thing, I was just like, okay, stop trying to fuck yourself and go do multiverse shit. God damn it.
If I had a nickel, sometime somebody said that to me, I'd be a rich man.
You know, John, too, I think one of the great things about WandaVision is episode 4. We're watching we're going through the eras of sitcoms. When you get to episode 4 and you're outside of the hex.
Yeah.
That was mind blowing.
Oh, I loved that.
And
so much.
that episode, I was like, oh my God. And that brought me to that was definitely one of the heights of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe for me, because the way it suddenly became clear what was going on, and it was really interesting, and it moved forward. I loved it.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Phase 4 is now complete and in our rear view mirror, and we're looking forward to Phase 5. I think we all agree it's the most mixed bag of the phases so far. What parts of Phase 4 stood out to you as being those things of excellence? Which things to you maybe stood out as disappointments? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there.